Hello and welcome to A Doctor's View, a podcast looking at everyday health topics and life through a doctor's eyes. Please note that all opinions are my own and should not replace the advice given to you by your own doctor. I'm Dr. Bolivios. Let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to Doctor's View. I'm Dr. Bolivios. This week we're going to be talking about gout. For those that don't know, gout is a common type of arthritis and it causes intense pain, swelling and stiffness in our joints, mainly the peripheral joints, and by that I mean joints in the hands and the feet. And the main joint usually affects is the big toe. So gout is, like I say, it's a form of arthritis and it's caused by an excess uric acid in the bloodstream. And what happens is these form crystals and these crystals build up and they build up inside the joint. And this is what causes the intense pain and inflammation. Now, medications aside, often that is the things that I've spoken about are things like risk factors, and lifestyle choices and diet are brought up a lot in gout. There's specific foods and drink, things like alcohol and red meats, that trigger gout attacks. Now, on that note, I thought it would be best to hear from someone who has really made a name for himself with regards to a gout friendly diet. And that man is named Spiro Koulouris, and he joins me from Quebec in Canada, and he's very kindly agreed to appear on the show and help discuss his success story with this diet, and also how he's helping others adopt and provide recipes for specific gout diets, and also just to reassure people that making these changes can actually make a big difference. So joining me today is Spiro. Hello, welcome.
Yes, well, thank you for having me, Dr. Bolivios.
Pleasure. So I've been onto your site and it looks fantastic, and I know you've obviously been a sufferer of gout for many years, and what I find interesting is how you've seem to have come up with it's not a cure, because we know we can't cure it,
that's right.
but you found a good way of controlling it. And
Yes.
whilst I appreciate it's different for every single person, some people might find it works for them, others might find it doesn't work as well. I have noticed you've got quite a few testimonials about it, and thought it would be interesting to hear your side of the story and tell us your gout journey, as it were.
Yeah. So my gout journey began when I was diagnosed at the age of 26. I had a terrible pain in my big toe and in my knee. And I went to my doctor and I said, I think I fractured my foot somewhere. Can you maybe do an x-ray? And my doctor diagnosed me with gout. And I did not know what that was. He explained to me what it consisted of. And I refused to believe it at first. I was in shock, but blood tests confirmed that I had high uric acid levels in the blood. And indeed, it was gout. So I was forced to limp around for 2-3 weeks, I remember. It was terribly painful. I was taking colchicine. You take colchicine to get rid of the pain and inflammation. And then you jump on a drug called allopurinol for long-term management of uric acid levels. So that's the only way you could treat gout today. And basically, after that, I was 240 pounds at that time, so I was a bit obese. And I did some research online, and there wasn't that much information, so I decided to create a blog and start checking out scientific studies from the medical community. And I found a lot of information, and I started publishing lots of articles on my site to help other gout sufferers. And I realized that indeed I was following a bad diet. I was eating lots of meat, and I loved burgers at the time. I was drinking lots of Coca-Cola, which is high fructose corn syrup, and that raises uric acid levels. And I was drinking lots of alcohol because I was young, so I was drinking lots of whiskey with Cokes, right? So Jack Daniels and Coke. And basically, those were the major culprits that caused my gout, my first gout attack. And then I went on a mission to start changing my diet
Mm.
and my lifestyle. And here we are today.
Wow. And this was how many years ago was that? I know you say you're 26. I don't know how.
26, I'm 40, turning 44 soon. So what is
Sure.
that? 36, about 18 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
And since you made some some obvious changes to your diet and things, how have things improved?
Yeah, and I've written a book called Gout and You, the Ultimate Gout Diet and Cookbook, where I advocate a diet of eating 80% complex carbohydrates.
Mm.
So think of fresh vegetables, legumes,
Mm-hmm.
beans,
Mm-hmm.
100% whole grain breads, whole grain pastas and rices.
Sure.
Then I allow 10% protein because protein, uh, meat has a lot of what we call purines. It's a chemical compound that is very sensitive to gout sufferers. So the more purines you consume on a daily basis, the higher uric acid levels go higher. So
Mm.
the most offensive foods are the meats, the chickens, the beefs, the red meats, and so on, and the porks.
Yeah.
So I limit 10% daily calories to protein. So you could have fresh fish, lean chicken breasts, turkey, lean red meat on occasion. No seafood, no organ meats, no pork. Those are very offensive to gout sufferers. And then the last 10% of daily calories I recommend is fat. So you could have eggs, milk, cheese, yogurt,
Mm.
butter, and so on.
Mm.
So the most offensive foods are the ones that are animal based. So gout sufferers have to be aware of those and limit the consumption of those because they do have the highest purines
Yeah.
and they do raise uric acid levels, and also processed foods and sugary foods, which as well are very offensive to gout sufferers.
Sure. I mean, you have gone to quite good lengths to actually ensure that you follow this diet now, and you found it's working. Can you just tell us a bit about some of the sufferings that you had with the disease when before you changed the diet? I know you had the joint pain, but how did it affect your normal life?
Uh, well, it's terribly painful. You're limping around. You're not that mobile. You can't go out as much, or you have to stay at home, right? Sitting down. You
Mm.
can't go to the mall or go do your chores because it consists of walking. So
Mm.
walking is very painful. So at that point, you're at home for at least a couple of weeks, and it gets to you. Um, After that, once you take the medication and you're under
Yeah.
control, then it's basically a different ball game. Although gout, I would say, also over time weakens the joints to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So if you walk around too much, you'll notice the next day maybe your feet might swell up. So it's something to take care of. For exercise, you might not go as strenuous as people that don't have gout. So, but other than that, if you're taking your allopurinol and you're doing your blood test on a basis and keeping your uric acid in check,
Mm.
you'll be fine for the
Mm.
most part. Unless you go on a binge, let's say
Sure.
you go out and have a steak, seafood, and lots of alcohol. If
Yeah.
you're still taking allopurinol, the next day you could get a gout attack. So you have
Sure.
to still be conscious of what you're eating and make sure you keep your diet, your gout diet that I advocate.
Sure. And at 26, you're very young to have
Yeah,
developed gout.
my in my case, it's genetic. Not too many people get it at a young age. So I would say about 4% here in North America. It's about 4% of the general population suffers from gout.
Mm.
Uh, I know in the UK, I read an article recently that there is an alarming rate of young people getting diagnosed with gout due to
Yes.
lots of alcohol.
Yeah.
Majority of people will get diagnosed with gout usually over the age of 50 and 60. And the three-quarters of them will be men, and
Yeah.
about a quarter of them will be women. Women are at a higher risk after developing gout after menopause. So it is a disease that affects mostly men.
Yeah.
But it is increasing at an alarming rate for young people. In my case, again, it's more genetic because I do have very little bit of thalassemia. It's not dangerous, doctor said. It's just I was born with it, and maybe
Mm.
my doctor said maybe that is the root cause of developing gout um, at this point. For
So
for my for my
to be
for my story,
a thalassemia minor trait.
yes, thalassemia minor trait, exactly. Very little though.
Sure. And that's thank you. And you mentioned alcohol in there a couple of
Yes,
times. Is there an acceptable limit? Have you found, or did you find that even a small amount
yes.
would trigger an
It
attack?
depends on the person. Yeah, it depends on the person, I would say. Uh, I recommend you have a diary and basically write everything you eat down and drink on a daily basis. And then if you
Mm,
get any flare ups, you can notice a pattern there. If it's repetitive once, two, three times, you'll know, okay, this affects me. Let me remove this offensive food. But for myself, I could sit down and maybe have a glass of wine or two on occasion, very rarely, maybe once a month. If I go to a restaurant with my
yeah.
wife, I could have one beer maximum for myself, and maybe I'll have liquor, maybe two glasses. I never have any sugar with my liquor, so I won't put any Coca-Cola, or I
Mm,
won't have those sugary alcohols. I'll have a straight up whiskey
mm,
on the rocks, and that's pretty much it. It's just the way your body metabolizes it. It's easier. Skip the sugar if you can. I know beer is considered the most offensive from all the alcohols, so watch
sure.
out with the beer. Don't go. If you do like your beer, make sure you don't have too many.
Mm,
Try to limit it to two if you can. And drink lots of water before and after if you decide to have some alcohol with
yeah.
your wife or with friends if you go out on a Saturday night.
Thank you. And you've mentioned sugar quite a bit as well, and so that's you found that was a trigger. And you've mentioned
Yes,
a lot of triggers in terms of the meat and fish and so on.
yes,
But you mentioned specifically on your site that alcohol and sugar are the two, public enemy number one, as you put it. Um, Again, with sugar, what type of things does that include? Things like hidden sugars, so not obvious things, but things
yes.
that are maybe found in fruits and other things that you wouldn't
In
normally think.
fruits, it's fruit sugar is different fructose and metabolizes easier. Your system metabolizes it easier. It's table sugar, so high fructose corn syrup that
Mm,
is found in soft drinks, processed snacks, foods. So you gotta
mm,
be careful of. I recommend that gout sufferers do not intake more than 25 grams of sugar on a daily basis, although the World Health Organization, I think, reduced it. They used to recommend 50, around 50 grams. Now they've lowered it to around 25 as
mm,
well. So stick around those levels and you'll be fine. But I mean, is hidden in so many foods, so you got to
yes.
really pay attention to the label and really calculate it and make sure you don't go
Yeah.
overboard because you could get a flare up. Yeah.
And a lot of people in the UK and actually worldwide, you mentioned the allopurinol, you mentioned the colchicine, and they are the mainstay drugs, as it were, that we prescribe and people are
Yes.
placed on. Usually, people start off with some form of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory things like ibuprofen and other
Yeah.
anti-inflammatory drugs like that. Were you started on any anti-inflammatories, or did you just go straight to the colchicine and then allopurinol and all the rest, or did you try a few things beforehand?
Anti-inflammatories, not for myself. Here in Canada, colchicine is covered under Medicare or the healthcare. I know in the U.S. I get a lot of gout patients emailing me saying colchicine is very expensive, so their anti-inflammatories is the more popular choice to
Sure.
treat painful inflammation. For myself, I've never used it, but I've taken Advil, which is like ibuprofen
Sure.
for pain in the past. And that helps for a few hours to get the edge off so you could feel some less pain and inflammation. But other than that, no, I haven't taken any, what are they called? Corticosteroids. corticosteroids, I believe is the
Gosh,
term.
it's very sorry to go slightly off topic. It's very interesting listening to someone from the other side of the ponds that were saying
Yes,
that the drug choices are influenced by cost and
by cost. That's right.
by cost for the patient and based on the insurance and all sorts. It's actually it gives me food for thought quite a lot as well, because we often talk about it here in the UK, how our NHS system, how much we adore it and how much
Hmm.
we fight to try and keep it alive. And this is just almost a live example of hearing that. I mean, we wouldn't think about it. We go to our GP, as it were, our family doctor, and explain that, and they would put us on a treatment pathway. The drugs would cost the same. I think
Hmm.
it's about £8.50 per prescription, and there's exceptions. People don't have to pay for drugs if you're over a certain age, or if you have a chronic illness, or all these little things. And you go to your pharmacy and pick it up, and we don't think about it. And it's just made me realize how fortunate we are actually. And
We are, yeah.
but sorry to change the subject there. It was just very interesting for me to hear that. When you were placed on the colchicine, I believe you were placed on that first. Is that correct?
Yes, if you develop gout and you're suffering from painful inflammation, which usually affects the big toe,
Yeah.
it can affect the knee. It could affect
Mm.
the elbow as well as the hands, not as much. It's recommended you take colchicine because it works the fastest to get rid of the pain and inflammation so you could get back on your feet
Mm.
and so your joints don't hurt. And then allopurinol to manage uric acid levels
Yeah.
long term so they could be below
I believe if you
the
take
normal ranges.
if you take the wrong one the wrong time, you can get a actual.
No, some doctors will prescribe both at the same time,
Mm.
actually. So the colchicine to start removing the inflammation, and then you jump on the allopurinol at the same time, and
Sure.
basically, because that takes a few weeks to start
Sure.
working, to start lowering uric acid
Sure.
levels at the beginning, and
Yeah.
after that's pretty much effective, I would say. Pretty
Colchine's
effective
only effective at the acute
at the acute,
phase.
yeah,
Yeah.
at the acute phase, correct.
And did you find that controlled things without changing anything else, as it were? Did you just find that the medication controlled your symptoms and kept the gout flare ups under control?
With allopurinol, yeah, for the most part, it's
Mm.
a good drug. Sometimes you'll get a flare up depending on what you eat or drink. Obviously, if you overdid it, you might get a flare up, so you might suffer a day or two. But
Sure.
for the most part, you have to do your yearly blood test because at some point, maybe your uric acid levels are higher and you may need to increase your dosage of allopurinol. So it's something you have to monitor with your doctor for
Sure.
sure.
And um, how did you find taking those medicines? Were there any side effects? Were there anything that you thought, I don't particularly like this?
For myself, the side effect for allopurinol, sometimes I'll get a little rash in my
Mm-hmm.
back or in my stomach area.
Mm-hmm.
I found a trick though, and the rash has actually disappeared lately. I just cut my allopurinol in half. I take one in the morning, half of it in the morning, and half in the evening. So I
Yeah.
think that has helped remove the rash. So that's a good tip if you're on a 300, let's say, milligrams of
Mm.
allopurinol a day. Just cut it in half, take half in the morning, half at night.
Oh, you found that works?
Um, yeah, I
Oh,
found
that's
it
good.
works. The rash
Okay.
has disappeared ever since I've been taking it. And then for colchicine, yeah, there's more. There's you if it's if the dosage is too strong, you could have diarrhea.
Mm.
Basically,
Mm.
yeah, that's common amongst for colchicine.
Um, is it fair to say that despite the diet changes and extents that you've gone to, you still require the allopurinol, or is that you taking that as precautionary?
I take the allopurinol. I used to be higher. I'm taking 100 milligrams a day because I'm
Sure.
very strict on my diet. So I control
Yeah.
uric acid levels with diet and allopurinol in combination. Again, my gout is genetic. I know some people
Yeah.
write to me that suffer from gout that they treat it with just diet. They don't take any medication.
Mm-hmm.
I know gout sufferers in general are stubborn folk. I read a study recently that about 1/3 of gout patients are really taking their medications. The other 2/3 are skipping it, thinking they could control it on their own. Little do they know, it's just a matter of time before they get their next gout attack and they're
Yeah.
back at the hospital or
Yeah.
visiting their doctor. So it's something you really have to communicate with your doctor. Check your uric acid levels. Chances are, if they're high and you're at least if you're going to go on a diet, try and control it with a diet, at least go to your doctor and tell them, I want to try it without taking the medication. Can you monitor my uric acid levels? And if they agree, see what the results are, and then make a decision if you want to remain on a diet or if you should go on medication.
Sure. Thank you. With regards to your flare-ups, how has that changed in terms of the frequency that you're getting them, and also the severity that you're getting them?
Very. No, I don't get them. I haven't gotten flare-ups. Oh boy, it must be years. The
Really?
last time I suffered flare-up. Yeah, like a gout flare-up. If anything, if I do too much walking or too much exercise, I might feel the joints in my feet swell up a little bit over the years from previous gout attacks. But other than that, if you control with medication, do your blood tests, follow a good gout diet, stay in shape,
Hmm.
keep your ideal weight, you'll be fine.
Did you find the weight loss was a big help?
Yes, obesity is one of the main culprits of getting a gout attack, so I would recommend you lose the weight, definitely.
Also easier on the joints as well.
Yes, exactly, that
So
as well.
fantastic. And what advice do you have for people that would get a flare up of gout? So they're sort of doing the majority of things correctly. They're compliant with their medication and all the rest, but they suddenly get a
Okay,
flare
yeah.
up. What would you advise in terms of lifestyle things that you can suddenly change? Is there anything that you found particularly works for those who have come to you, or if even from your own experience?
Well, listen, if you get a gout attack tomorrow, for example, and right away, I probably two quick remedies I take is probably Advil
Mm,
to get the edge off. Maybe get some Epsom salt and soak your affected joint in warm water a couple times a day,
mm-hmm.
just to relieve some of the pain and inflammation. Visit your doctor. See if you need to increase your dosage for allopurinol. Because if you're on allopurinol and you're getting a gout attack, chances are you may have to increase your dosage. And go on a gout diet. Gout diet means a change of lifestyle. So
Yeah,
you have to say goodbye to too much meat consumption, too much
yeah,
alcohol consumption, too much sugary
yeah,
foods consumption. So you got to go the fresh vegetable routes, whole grain breads, whole grain rices, pastas. These are foods that burn clean in your system, and your kidneys don't work too hard to break them down and compared to meat, right?
yeah,
I think meat takes about 90 hours for your body to digest and break it down and process it all, whereas fresh vegetables just takes a few hours. So it makes a big difference. Limit your sugary food consumption, processed food, processed meats, not too much fat as well, limit to 10%. Basically, follow the gout dietary advice I provide on my website.
yes. I'll put a link
Uh,
to that onto the
yeah,
podcast. Yeah,
take notes and keep a diary of what you're eating. And it's going to be hard in the beginning. It was hard for me.
mm,
But over time, you'll notice your taste buds will change. You'll be craving less the sugar. You'll be craving the meat less. You'll be craving mostly the fresh vegetables
yeah.
and so on, the good stuff, basically.
There's been a lot of talk. I've even done a podcast in the past about it on a plant-based diet.
Yes,
Would
yeah,
you? Your diet
that's the key.
seems to almost fit in quite nicely with a
If you,
plant-based diet.
yeah, if you can go 100% plant-based, that's better for you
Yeah,
as a gout sufferer. I just give it a little bit of room for meat intake and
yeah,
fat intake
sure.
because some people will find it extremely difficult to go vegetarian
Yeah,
on a plant-based diet.
yeah,
So I do recommend 80% complex carbohydrates, which is mostly plant-based foods, and give you a little bit of room for, because I like meat. I'll have a burger once in a while, but it's
Nice.
not on a weekly basis or daily basis. Same thing for a steak, right? So it's good to leave yourself a bit of room if you do enjoy those foods.
Yeah, and also that there are certain things like vitamin B12s that say only come
Yeah,
from animal-based products. So if you did go down the plant-based routes, it's making sure you're doing it correctly to and taking supplements as you need
yeah,
and all the
to
rest.
supplement your gout diet. Yeah.
Yeah, and with your gout diet that you've got online and the cookbook and things that you've mentioned, have you needed any extra supplements, or is that incorporating every major group and all the rest to the extent that it should be
No,
suitable?
yeah, we do offer supplements, obviously. So basically, I have a supplement called NutriGout, which is the most popular,
Hmm.
which consists of celery seeds, Shankarpriedra, dandelion extract, turmeric, and milk thistle. So these ingredients supplement a gout diet. So if you're eating a plant-based diet, these nutrients are not easily found in food, so they
Mm.
help cleanse the liver and kidneys, and that's where uric acid is produced. So to keep those organs healthy, I've developed these supplements, which sell on my website. Others prefer tart cherry extract, which is a very popular supplement to help control uric acid
Mm.
and inflammation. There's been a study that has come out years ago. We also have a topical cream you apply when you get, let's say you get a flare up or a gout attack. You could apply on the affected joint a few times a day, and you'll get some relief. So yeah, supplementation can help.
Mm.
Um, there's some help there for gout sufferers if they need that extra help.
Sure.
We offer it.
What's your cream based on, out of curiosity?
Cream is arnica. Arnica.
Okay. Can you tell me a bit about that? Was not
Arnica is known to relieve pain and inflammation. Arnica montana, the exact name of the herb.
okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
and it works great. It's got great reviews on Amazon as well.
Fantastic. Okay. Um, so, Spirit, how has your life changed now in terms of
For the better, I would say.
yeah,
I exercise. I've changed my lifestyle. I'm my ideal weight.
yeah,
I eat right, and that's what you have to do. Also, exercise is very important. Get out there. Even if you're 80 years old, you can't do much. Go for a walk on a daily basis. Yeah, keep the body moving. That's going to strengthen the joints, strengthen the bones, improve your uric acid levels and gout. So,
yeah,
exercise is a very important lifestyle change as well
yeah,
for anybody. For gout sufferers, I recommend two particular exercises if you have joint pain
yes,
or joint issues, which is swimming or cycling, basically,
yeah.
to
I
avoid that pressure.
I think swimming's a fantastic one. I do recommend it to a lot of patients who have complained of joint pain who wanted
There you go.
to lose weight, and I've often recommended swimming because it doesn't put strain on the joints like other
That's right.
exercises does, and I think that's yes fantastic advice actually. And you exercise so many muscles with swimming as well. You
Exactly.
burn off a lot of
Correct.
calories, and um, it's very well tolerated, as it were,
Hmm.
because you
Hmm.
don't get the joint pain. Cycling as well, you're burning quite a lot. Yes, you are using your hips, but you don't tend to get gout in your hips, as it were.
That's right. That's
So
right.
it's quite well tolerated too. And obviously, I mean everything you've said. It's almost like regardless of gout or not, it seems to be the kind of lifestyle that we should be adopting to almost
For
regardless to some
everybody. Yeah,
but it
regardless.
so it just goes to show sort of healthy eating, healthy lifestyle not only can help with gout suffering but also helps prevent the flare ups as well, and it's quite nice. And you've lost weight as a consequence of this new regime, new lifestyle, would you say, or was that from other things as well?
It's either that or an early death. You have to make a choice at the end of the day because gout sufferers are at an increased rate of developing diabetes down the road,
Yeah,
kidney stones, rheumatoid
yeah,
arthritis, and other complications. So you have to make that decision. You can't continue being obese, eating whatever you want, not exercising. It's not going to end well.
Yeah, and obviously this will help people even if they aren't overweight and still getting gout. It's still a different way of life for them too, and it will help them as well. But do you think it will make a bigger impact on someone who has an unhealthy lifestyle already than someone who's already, or
To make the changes, you mean?
yeah, as in if someone's living a relatively healthy lifestyle, as it were, normal weight and getting gout, this will still help them too.
Yeah, definitely to eat well and exercise, for sure. But if you're obese, it's a bigger challenge. Obviously, you gotta
Mm,
work on it slowly and eventually get those results. You want to go down to your ideal weight. It's going to be harder for somebody that's obese and used to eating sugary foods, lots of meat, lots of alcohol.
sure. And
It's going to take longer, definitely.
how many people come to you, write to you, and ask for
I get
advice?
emails on a almost on a daily basis, via email or through our Facebook page,
Yeah,
Twitter. So I answer all emails. Anybody can contact me at any time. Sometimes
yeah,
it could take a day or two. Be patient, but I will
sure,
get to you.
fantastic.
But yeah, I give lots of advice for free on a daily basis, basically.
That's
I have no
wonderful.
problems.
And
You can contact me.
you have a book as well that people can
Yeah,
get. Fa-
we have a book that we sell on our site and on Amazon as well. So that's where I outline what you need to do to jump on my gout diet, which consists of 80% complex carbs, 10% protein, and 10% fat. And there's a lot of recipes to get you started and help you out.
Sure, that's fantastic. Spiro, thank you so much for chatting to us and telling us about your lifestyle changes and just how big of an impact changing your diet and just doing a few lifestyle tweaks, the impact it has on something like gout. And I really do appreciate your time.
Yeah,
It's quite a nice,
thank you for having.
no, pleasure. It's nice to hear it from a patient perspective. We often chat to experts, for want of a better word, in terms of healthcare professionals, and sometimes the experts are also people who suffer with a condition, and it's often very nice to listen to their perspective as well, and to see what's worked for them, and appreciate it's different for everyone, like you say. Some people find obviously change easier than others, and some people find those making small changes makes a big difference, and other people not so much. But looking through some of the things you mentioned, it seems to be something that would benefit anyone, regardless of gout or not. Actually,
Yeah,
looking
definitely.
at it. So, thank you very much, and I'll put links to all the relevant information, and to be able to contact you, I'll put them all in the podcast description, which will be found above or below depending on which platform you're listening to. And thank you very much, Spiro, for joining us, and I'll be in touch soon.
If anybody wants to visit me, you could visit our site at goutandyou.com. Contact me and I'll answer any question related to your gout. Thank you.
So that was Spiro, everyone, explained to us just how big a difference things like diet and exercise and just keeping active can make to our bodies, and also just to conditions like gout, where things like diet really do play a big role in precipitating some of these attacks. I will, of course, as I say, leave links to Spiro's website and also his Facebook page, where you can contact him and ask him questions regarding gout and diet and just share your experiences. And I'll put those in the description of the podcast. That's it for this week. I hope it's been useful. And if you do have any questions for me, please do email me. Or if you have any topics that you want me to discuss in the future, please do let me know, and I'll do my very best to make sure that they're covered in future episodes. If you do enjoy the podcast, please do leave a review on iTunes. It really does help me out. Also on Podchaser as well. If you're listening on that, please do leave me a review on there too. As always, please look after yourselves, and I'll join you again next time. I'm Dr. Bolivios. Goodbye.